Welcome back to the Talking with Ted, Walking with Ted, Hiking with Ted series. All right, this series is a sub-series of the other series. Did you catch all that? So libraries are all about series, and we're going to illustrate the point I made last time with a different object. Last time it was a slice of pie. This time it is a book. Now, I'm reading a book about books, about reading, rediscovering the joy of reading. Okay, what a great book that is. Challenging book. And it talks about a novel, when it happened, who introduced it, where did it come from, etc. And Don Quixote is considered the first modern novel. All right. So in this book, it talks about how to read them, how to write them, and so forth. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. All right, Tristan, a teenager in the library reading. Can you believe it? So he's reading, and then Tyler comes in and asks him about the book because it's an assignment that they both have. Tristan is further along in the assignment, and he's telling Tyler, well, I read the end, and then I read the beginning, and now I'm ending by reading the middle. Okay, so some books you just don't always have to read beginning to end, all right? Hiking in this series is like that. We began in the middle with the filling in the lemon pie. Now we're going to go to the top. These are the Sky Islands. These are the highest peaks in Arizona. So we're layers. In this mini-series is layers. 0 to 4,000 feet. We've talked about 4,000 to 8,000 feet. Today we are talking about 8,000 to 12,000 feet. So the Sky Islands. Now we have 3 different areas we're going to talk about. We're going to start with the White Mountains near New Mexico with a mountain called Escudilla. And when you look at Escudilla from a distance, it's just this huge block that just shoots up out of the plains, okay? So the top is not quite 11,000 feet. There's a lot of very interesting history around this area, and particularly this mountain. Aldo Leopold talked about this area about 100 years ago plus. The last grizzly bear in this area was killed. Wolves were exterminated from the southwest, from the last stronghold that they had in this area. So there's some significant human biological interaction that this area is known for, okay? So this is a short day hike, so bear that in mind. There's fires have come through this area. This elevation, nearly 11,000 feet, is going to have a characteristic vegetation. Alpine meadows. This is a great place for fall colors. Fires foster aspen growth. If you look at a grove of aspen, you might ask yourself, how many aspens do I see? What looks like 20, 30 trees could be one single tree. So they are connected underground like rhizomes, like in the Bermuda grass. And so when the fire comes through there, knocks them all down, they just shoot right back up. So as fires are suppressed and the conifers get reestablished, they shade out the aspens and the fall colors go away. So fire is a natural and an essential element in the ecology of these landscapes, okay? Higher elevation, especially for plants like aspens, okay? So the impact of fire is important. There's a lookout tower at the top. Many of these high points have fire lookout towers. This tower was destroyed, though it is still standing. It's fenced off because it's probably not so stable, but it's still there, all right? So it's kind of a tragic reminder of what can happen. This was the wall of fire that came in from the Bear Wallow Wilderness, and it just moved through this whole area. All right. So the trail system is small. It's a short area. It is a federal wilderness area. So it's a day hike. Don't plan on any surface water. You'll see the pictures, the map, and the profile there, how steep it is, and so forth. Great views all over the White Mountains from New Mexico to the east to Mount Baldy to the west, which is our next point in our 7 destination series on the higher elevation great hikes in Arizona. All right, Mount Baldy. Mount Baldy was one of the first areas that I would say that I actually hiked, was a real live, pristine wilderness, high elevation destination. I call this the jewel, the crown jewel of Arizona's high elevation hiking. This is it. The Little Colorado River begins in this mountain site, okay? So surface water is plentiful. The summit, the actual summit, is on the reservation, so technically it's only available to tribal members. But the trail, which is a small area, the wilderness area is small, so the trail system is limited. And it's a great site, though, for an overnight backpack trip. If you're going to go all the way to the White Mountains, probably from populated areas in Arizona, then you're going a long way. I did do this as a day hike, leaving at 1 a.m. from Cortez Junction, or Prescott, I guess I was living at the time. Got to the trailhead at 5 a.m., hiked for 12 hours, and got back at 5 p.m. It's about 25 miles to do the entire loop. And it was in summer. This is kind of a summer thing. And the first day of summer, I was up there hiking. After hiking in the Grand Canyon was an oven the first day of summer. But Mount Baldy was trying to snow. Okay, and you may find lingering snow up there even that far into the season. So alpine meadows, mixed conifer forest, plenty of shade, not big crowds because it is so far. So it's an ideal place. Summer wildflowers. The one that I would highlight and mention is a beautiful thing that we'll see a picture of, is Lady Slipper Orchid. Okay, wild orchids in Arizona are not like super abundant and plentiful, but so when you see one, they're pretty cool. And there is one here. I'll give you one extra word for your vocabulary and your botanical deal. It is the word resupinate. Look it up. It means twisted, upside down. The flowers, as they grow, develop, they twist, and they're technically upside down so that the pollinator can land on a platform and get in there and get the pollen and the nectar and so forth. Pretty smart, huh? Okay. All right, Mount Baldy, that's the White Mountains, east. There's several different trails there. I took Trail 94. This is about 8 miles south of Show Low on State Route 273. Okay, so you have an idea where it is, White Mountains, eastern Arizona. Now we're going to shift to north central Arizona around Flagstaff. Kendrick Peak. Guess what is on the top of Kendrick Peak? You got it, another lookout tower. Now this one is staffed. Okay, so it is still there. It's not a real huge tall tower, but it is this shack kind of place, and they still watch for wildfires up there. And wildfires have swept through this area as well. This is about 10 miles northwest of Flagstaff off US 180. You can take a variety of other dirt roads from near Williams and go north that way, so you can access it a couple of different ways. It goes to about 10,000 feet, actually 10,000, almost 500 feet. So once again, you get mixed conifer forest. The views are amazing of the Colorado Plateau. You can see the San Francisco peaks off to the east, and when they've got snow on them, it is quite a spectacular sight. Not much surface water in this area. There's 2 trails. The one that I describe actually is trail number 22 from the south. You can go around to the north and pick up another trail, and you could make this a long backpack trip. There is some surface water where you could spend more time there. But typically, people are going to go on the south trail, do the day hike, come back. Be prepared for lightning, thunderstorms in the summer, okay? Great wildflowers. There's a picture I've got for you of milkweed with the butterflies on it, so quite lovely. Again, alpine meadows. There is an historic cabin that the fire lookout people used to live in that were up near the top. It's not lived in anymore, but it is still there. So there is some interesting Forest Service historical elements to this particular hike. Okay. All right, Kendrick Peak near Flagstaff. We are moving right along. It's about a 10-mile round trip hike, this one. So these are not necessarily long when it's a day hike, unless of course you like hiking, 25 miles in a day. No wonder nobody hikes with me anymore. Okay, the other one, which is right outside of Williams, okay, is Bill Williams Mountain. Now this one, guess what's on the top of this one? Correct, lookout tower. This is a very impressive lookout tower. Man, it is like a tower that is pretty scary to climb up to, but you can't. So, which of course accentuates the views. What do you see? The same views as from Kendrick. You can see Kendrick from here, San Francisco Peaks, all the way down to Sedona, Jerome, Verde Valley. It's just amazing. You can probably even get a glimpse of the Grand Canyon on clear days from these sites. There is another interesting element to this particular hike. We know that the Environmental Protection Agency and other federal organizations work with various groups to establish threatened and endangered lists of species, plants and animals. And one of those plants is on this hike. And it's called Arizona bug bane. Isn't that a lovely name? Okay, member of the buttercup family with a thin stalk of white flowers up the top, great big leaves, kind of bushy down at the bottom. But this plant grows nowhere else in the world except for right here, and I've seen it also at the upper end of West Fork. So Arizona bug bane, look for it. If you find it, know that there's nobody else probably in your life that will ever have seen it. Get a picture. Don't touch it. Okay, what else happens at these summits? Correct. Ladybugs congregate by the thousands at the top in the summer. Okay, I don't know why they do that, but they do that. So you may see just thousands and thousands, piles of ladybugs all over some of the rocks and bushes and so forth in the summer up at these peaks. The trail coming north is right off of I-40, so the freeway noise actually is a little bit annoying for the first mile or so of this trail. Very well established trail. You could actually drive to the top for the lookout tower, but you're not going to do that. You're going to hike. And the trail is it's a north facing canyon, so it's lush. No surface water to speak of, however. There is a pit toilet at the trailhead, so limited facilities. This trail sometimes gets closed in fire season, if it's a bad fire season. So be aware and watch for that. Some of these sites may not always be accessible. Okay, all right, Bill Williams Mountain. Great hike, nice day hike, Trail 21, right off I-40. Okay, now we're gonna go to the southeast part of the state for our last three sky islands, higher elevation hikes above 8,000 feet, okay, and this one is Mount Graham. Now Mount Graham reaches up to 11,000 feet. There is now an astronomy site up on the top, okay? So that is affecting there's imposed some restrictions as far as light pollution, campfires and headlights and stuff like that. So be aware of that. But the area is massive. I was told one time as I was going to take one of my annual solo hikes, careful, there's an escaped convict on the loose in the Graham Mountains. Area is huge. What are the odds? I did my botanical research up there on the floor of the Grand Mountains for my botany degree. And guess who walked into my camp the third night of the trip? Pretty exciting. He was recaptured the next day. So anyway, I have a lot of time I've spent and the Grand Mountains. Okay. The particular trail that I'm mentioning and recommending, there's a lot of trails here, high trails, upper elevation. There's more surface water in this mountain range than any other place in Arizona, pretty much. Lakes, ponds, streams, springs, it's all there, okay? There's campgrounds up on the top. There are some summer cabins as well, so it's a well-developed place. This is not a federal wilderness situation. But the trail that I took to encounter my friend, we later visited each other in prison. I visited him in prison for 15 years, just clarify that. It offers lots of opportunity. The trail, though, is called Round the Mountain Trail. It doesn't actually go around the mountain, but that's what it's called. So it has lots of very rugged, it slices canyons, very steep, but it's just an incredible, refreshing site because I started at Arcadia Campground. Then went up, to the higher elevations. Arcadia is probably 7,000 or 8,000 feet. Taking the Swift Trail up from Safford, so this is way out of the way too. You will encounter cactus and yuccas and chaparral down lower, but then you're going to go up higher, ponderosa pine, Douglas fir, all that stuff. Streams slicing this mountain range all over the place, very rugged. The trail, this particular trail, not very well developed, not highly used, so you've got to pay attention to where you're going, okay? And study the map. All right, Mount Graham, also called the Pinaleno Mountains, okay? All right, we have a couple more to go. This one is Miller Peak. Now, we're getting a little bit closer to the border with Mexico. So when I was down there recently, you'll see lots of interesting sites like Border Patrol people all over the place, etc. So be aware that on the border, near the border, it's a little bit, you need to be heads up. You need to be really careful with different people and so forth in the vicinity. And there's houses down there. It's right out of Sierra Vista, okay? 9,000 feet is the summit. And it's a section of the Arizona Trail is right along this crest. So a portion of that trail is in this now federally designated wilderness, Miller Peak. High mountain meadows, great views down to Mexico, all the way up to Catalinas and those areas around Tucson. So the views are great. Baboquiviri to the west, Bisbee to the east and beyond, Cochise, Stronghold and all that. So great views, pretty well established trail system. There's a curious feature on this trail called Bathtub Spring. Somebody took a bathtub up there and they used that to pipe water out of the spring. So don't take a bath though, okay. All right, so Miller Peak, right out of Sierra Vista. Miller Peak Road is how you access this trail number 106 and 103, okay? All right, we have one more to go. The high points in Arizona, Sky Islands, Mount Wrightson, okay? So I'm gonna read my little description of Mount Wrightson here. This is right off I-19, Madera Canyon trailhead. You can also access this from the east, much longer backpacking experience. Otherwise, it's a day hike out of Madera Canyon, about 36 miles south of Tucson. All right, so again, the views are incredible. The views are amazing from Baboquiviri to the west, to Mount Graham to the east. Plenty of surprises from the lack of snow some winters to a rosy boa on the trail when I hiked it in November. The summit is rather exposed, okay? So be ready for that. Some have suffered greatly when unprepared for the unexpected. I've mentioned in one of our survival videos a book called Death Clouds. There were some Boy Scouts up there that died in a freak snowstorm in November, and that was a very tragic event, okay? The trail I took is called Old Baldy. It is well marked. Camping is not allowed at the trailhead, though there's a bed and breakfast, in the canyon and a campground further down the road there on your way in, $10 a day for the campground. The day use at the trailhead is $5, okay? The topographic map is Mount Wrightson. So there's a lot to these spectacular sites. The environment is weird because you're rising up out of the desert. That's why they call them a sky island. Okay, you have this ocean of lower plains, desert environment down below, and these peaks rise up like an island out of the ocean. Different vegetation, different animal life. There was a bear that had to be taken down in Mount Wrightson because it was getting too cozy with people and too comfortable with people. So that was an unfortunate event. Sometimes they'll relocate these bears 50, 60 miles and they end up coming back to right where they are. So they've got this strong homing instinct. So be aware always of your surroundings. All right, that concludes this view of the higher elevation prime desirable hiking destinations in Arizona. Okay, we have one layer to go. That's the desert, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. All right, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. There's lots more hiking to do. Check out these sites, especially in the summer, and enjoy hiking in Arizona because it is a mixed bag, incredible resource. See you next time.